Hey YouTube, a little nice weather we got today, and today we'll be talking about my Walther P5 compact and 9mm. But first, the Walther P5 compact is the compact version of Walther's full-size Walther P5, which looks like this. It's basically the same size. They just rounded off almost all the sharp edges and made the grip a little bit smaller. And most P5s have a push-button magazine release instead of the heel, except for the very, very early versions of it. It is also a double action, single action handgun. I have the trigger pull right here, some take up, a little bit of creep before it finally hits a wall. Bang. And the reset. Almost all the way back out again for single action. While I'm here, you can see how the firing pin, that right there is at sort of an angle. I gotta hold the hammer to show you this. Let's see if I can get it there. Because you have to pull the trigger to get it to come in within line of the hammer. Because while it's in double action mode, that firing pin actually rests in that little cavity there. So the gun will not fire unless you actually physically pull the trigger. Because you can hit this hammer all day long and it will not go off no matter what. Which will make this actually a very safe handgun. In case you're wondering, no, this is not filmed in a mirrored video. It actually does eject from the left. I kept looking online to see why Walther made that decision, and most consensus seems to be for right-hand shooters, it makes it easier to clear malfunctions. Let's see if I can get this side to stay open. Like, clear malfunctions is easier to dump the round out that way than it is to go this way for right-handed shooters. It's got an aluminum frame, and from what I've also seen online is it's not recommended to shoot plus P 9mm in these things very frequently because it can crack the frame, and mostly in this area and this area is where it seems to happen the most. And some P5s have plastic back straps and some have aluminum. This one has the aluminum back strap. And this is a commercial one, which means it has the blued finish and comes with these wood grips. The police and military versions of these usually have a parkerized finish with the plastic grips, although a lot of the commercial ones also come with plastic grips. Such as the ones that were bought by the British Army for use in Northern Ireland to replace their 22 caliber Walther PPs for self-protection. And those have a parkerized finish with plastic grips. I'm going to show you this assembly. Lock the slide back. You may notice this looks a little bit familiar. It's because it's actually a modernization of the P38 and P1 series. The magazine. Drop the hammer so I can get the slide to go down. Look very similar, don't they? Slides are not quite similar because the Walther is more of a closed design, while the P5 is more of a closed design, while the P1, P3 is more of an open top. Show you the frames. Try to get them on camera like this with a stupid soda box. But they're fairly similar in design. Come on. My P1 likes to fight me while I'm reassembling and disassembling it. Come on. It helps to do it off camera so I can see what I'm doing. There's you back together. Now with a P5, hopefully I can get this one on camera. Also, a very smooth metal on metal fit in here. See if you're gonna fight me too. Maybe. Nope. Speaking of similarities, their magazines are actually exactly the same, with the exception of P5 magazines have this little cutout for the heel magazine release versions, and for the push button they have this cutout right here, which of course the P1 lacks. And these magazines are very expensive. I've seen them on average, the cheapest ones were around $70, with the average being around $150, while P1 magazines, I usually see these for like $10, $20. So, if you have the skills, you can cut a hole there for the heel magazine releases. The button one's a little bit more tricky because it's not just a notch, like on some, it's like that. But if you can do it, you'll save yourself some money. But one thing interesting about the P5 magazines is they're interchangeable, or usable, in P38s and P1s. So for whatever strange reason you have a pile of P5 magazines, you can use them in P38s and P1s. However, this will not work in a P5 because you have a little bit sticking out there. So without modification, it'll still stick out some, but it won't stay in the gun unless it has the magazine release cut. It also has a 3-dot sight arrangement that was starting to become popular around the time this came out, which was the late 80s to 90s. Let you take a look at yours. I didn't get to look at that enough. Also, the adjustable rear sights, for what that's worth. And of course, it's only a single stack, so 8 rounds of 9mm, so you're not getting a whole lot of bullets. And I'm not sure about the compact, but doing the full size was also available in 30 Luger as well. I'm not sure if they made 30 Luger barrels for the compact version, because there wasn't that many compacts. From what I can gather from my Walther resource book, they made like around 5,500 of these things, compared to around 100,000 or 150,000 for the full size. So these aren't exactly the most common of Walther's product line. I think partly because they're kind of expensive even back then, and they're definitely expensive now, if you can find them. Usually I see at least 1 or 2 on Gunbroker once in a while, like this one guy who's been trying to sell 10 ex-British P5 compacts forever. Because he's trying to sell them all as a big lot instead of individually, which you'd probably be more likely to sell them off that way. It's also quite heavy for a gun this size, being all metal. And I wouldn't recommend concealed carry MLCs because the price and the fact it's no longer production and getting parts for this thing is pretty difficult. Like, if Walther still made these things, I might consider it a contender. Or if they were made in such numbers that they're not terribly expensive and easy to fix. But for the most part, it's more of a occasional range toy and a safe queen for the most part. Compared to my P1, which semi-regularly sees use. But anyway, that's the Walther P5 Compact. And hope you guys have a nice day.